Hey guys, so I want to talk to you about why you would choose this Jaffe or something with a similar geo when you're choosing a hardtail for a single speed for your trails, because it will vary with exactly where you're riding. So I'm going to show you where I ride and talk to you a little bit why I chose this Escar Jaffe for my single speed build, as opposed to maybe the Escar Hayduke, or now they have the new Escar Smoky. So let me go into that a little bit. I think, number one, I really like steel frames, and I was sold on Escar with their steel frames because I bought that Hayduke and I was amazed by how much better that quad-butted chromoly felt than even my high-end double-butted Reynolds steel Sur 9. You know, a lot of that had to do with the geometry, but I think more of it had to do with just the steel itself. That Hayduke had a compliant feel and shock absorbing feel that I just did not get from my 9 or Sur 9. And I rode that as a single speed for several years as a rigid single speed, and it was a nice bike. Still is a nice bike. Serves as a commuter bike right now. But let me go move on to the topic of choosing the right hardtail frame for your single speed. Now, for many of you, building up a single speed is an afterthought with an old hardtail that you have sitting around, and you're going to bolt on a singulator, some type of quasi derailleur tensioner device or something to turn it into a single speed. And that's fine and dandy, and you could turn pretty much any hardtail into a single speed with those bolt-ons. But I'm talking and appealing more towards a person that wants to make that commitment to get a frame that is made to be both a geared and a single speed. They have slider dropouts, an eccentric bottom bracket, so on and so forth. But they have a way to tension that chain properly as a single speed. And that's what Escar does with all their frames, because they have sliding dropouts. And what I mean by that, there is a dropout that has the ability to adjust horizontally fore and aft. I've had other single speeds that have had the rocker dropouts, kind of rocks it just like the name sounds, and others that had the eccentric bottom bracket. But all of them, the goal is to properly tension your chain, because it's going to be sitting on just one cog and needs to be tensioned properly so it doesn't fall off. And all of those work, and so choosing which one you want to get, I think, should be secondary to choosing the right type of frame you want to get and the right type of geo, because they all work. So I don't mind eccentric. It's not my first choice, but it works. I don't I like some sliders and I don't like others. They all have their idiosyncrasies, and if they're not tightened down and maintained and set up properly, you could have problems. I've had them all. So past the right dropout or right single speed frame design, let's go into material. And I think steel has come out on top as the best frame design, frame material for single speed. But don't think that carbon or aluminum isn't pretty damn good too, because it is. And today's carbon and aluminum is not the carbon and aluminum that your dad had on that original Cannondale or original Yeti or something else. It's been bespoke and refined and made to be more compliant and feel great. So don't rule those materials out just because you think steel is the only way to go. I like steel, but steel has a weight penalty. So if you want to get around that weight penalty, you go tie. And you can go really high end when you get into tie, or you can get the Chinese tie and Taiwanese tie that is being built for you, and they do a damn good job too. And Turner is getting tie frames from Taiwan. So some reputable names are designing some really nice tie hardtails. I'm not sure about the Turner, what dropouts he uses, if he has a single speed version. But, and obviously Escar has a tie Hayduke and a tie Jaffe. And I've seriously thought about getting one of those, just deciding if I want to go with another dedicated single speed or have something that's geared and could do 275 wheels too. So that's what you also need to think about. What wheels do you want to build up for your single speed? Are you in the area where 275 just works right for you? Or maybe you want to go 275 plus and use it as a fall winter bike that can go on some hard packed snow, or you're living in a real sandy, deserty area that you want it to go on loose sand. So that's another consideration. I personally think 29er is the way to go for a single speed, but that's my opinion, and that's what I've gotten used to riding, except when I had my old 26-inch wheel single speed years ago. But I never did go into 27.5 in between. So I can't really give you my first-hand experience with that wheel size as a single speed. I like it as a gear bike, and I do set my bike up like that all the time. So beyond the wheel size, then think about how much steepness are you riding. As you can tell by the way I'm winded and by the way I'm grinding, this is the steep hill. I will gain over 1,000 feet in 2.4 miles and have a pedal-free descent where all I'm doing is braking. So that plays into my perspective of what type of frame geometry I want. I want something that's not too radically steep, but definitely not too radically slack. And I think the Jaffe hits that medium really nicely. I like 50mm stems, but some of you may like 35mm stems, and you want to have the same cockpit as your full suspension or as your geared bike, and you've landed on a different stem. So look at the overall measurement of your full suspension or your gear bike and think about, how does that bike climb? That is 80% of your priority with choosing a single speed, is something that climbs right for you with your conditions. My conditions require out of the saddle, grindy-ish type climbing. Your single speed may be a lot of flats, and that may not be where you have to focus too much attention. So then you're going to think about the descents. Where are you descending it? And what type of trail will you be descending? And how much of that mid descent will you need to pedal and keep your momentum? Or is it just a gravity descent like mine, where you're just trying to keep it as flowy and fast as possible? And I'll be showing to you that section, or my video of El Prieto later. But with my future self, I will also post what my time was and of just El Prieto for you local people.